Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new episode of, analyzing Tesla. So for this one, we're going to be going over Tesla's market movement today. Let me go ahead and, where is the, there we go, beautiful. Gonna be going over Tesla and how it moved today, guys, as usual. So if you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. It does help quite a bit, but let's just get right into it. So today, Tesla has moved just over 2%, ending us at $736.44, right? So pretty much, again, a 2% move, which is not bad if I do say so myself, which is kind of why I said yesterday that I'm feeling a little bit bullish. I'm feeling pretty good. The movement yesterday, even though it looked bad, I actually liked it, right? And today I think was a decent example as to the follow through on that, right? That's kind of what I wanted to see. Not exactly to the T, but, it's a start. It's not bad. And yeah, so that's kind of the reasoning for me as to why, I explained hopefully yesterday to you guys why I personally felt pretty bullish. I felt pretty okay. This move was okay. It could have collapsed. It easily could have collapsed. Don't get me wrong. This still technically was, I guess a bit of a gamble, of course, naturally, but the odds have felt like were in my favor. Nonetheless, let's go over the market. Let's go over Tesla, see what happened and what we can expect tomorrow, of course, after market. Is a big day for Tesla, of course. They are reporting their earnings for Q2. So it's going to be pretty big, like the actual earnings, right? We know the deliveries and everything, which was, okay. Not amazing, but not horrible. It was all right. It was acceptable. And tomorrow we find out the actual numbers, which could be pretty damn big. I don't know how it's going to go. I really don't know because Shanghai tends to be their, and I'm pretty sure, at least if I'm not mistaken, tends to be their highest, like, essentially their best factory. It has the best margins, right? It's just the best. It's able to make the vehicles at the highest quality for the lowest cost, essentially, with mass production, essentially, right? Because it's their most advanced factory, even more advanced at the very moment, at least, than Austin and Berlin, mainly because those are still kind of ramping up, right? They don't really count yet. And the fact that Shanghai was essentially closed for a full month, we'll see how it affects their margins and whatnot. That will be interesting to see. But nonetheless, Tesla, overall, a pretty decent movement together with the market. Now, unfortunately, it did underperform the market. I mean, QQ was up a solid 3%. SPY was up 2.7%. Tesla only being up 2%, obviously is a bit of an underperformance, but that's probably also because the earnings is coming up tomorrow. So there's a bit of, sideways action. You have full selling pressure yesterday. You have essentially full buying pressure today. Kind of a weird candle close, but nonetheless, it's just a battle of the bears versus the bulls. Pretty much, again, a lot of anticipation for tomorrow, which I think will be quite important. Now, ultimately, guys, what do I think? Ultimately, what I personally believe, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, like as earnings comes out, if it's going to go up or down, right after earnings. Obviously, nobody knows that. If I did, trust me, I'll be pretty much all-inning weekly calls or puts, depending on what I apparently knew what was going to happen, and make an absolute disgusting amount of money. Obviously, no one knows that answer. However, what I do personally believe is going to happen is the fact that based on how the market's also moving, I personally believe that regardless of what happens with Tesla, even if Tesla destroys earnings and we just rocket up over this resistance and everything's fine, or if Tesla earnings is really, mediocre, let's say, and initially it falls, ultimately, I personally believe that regardless of the action that happens right after earnings, I think ultimately Tesla will still most likely break this red trend line. I do think it will break this red trend line. I do think we're ultimately going to rally up to the top of this bear flag, being these two blue lines over here, right? The kind of going, northeast-ish, if you will, blue lines. I do think that's going to happen. I do think that's ultimately the play, and that's ultimately the direction it's going to go. Obviously, it's not 100%, but I'm 80% confident in that move. Also, mainly because, again, the technicals for Tesla are still looking, in my opinion, quite decent, right? The RSI is pointing straight up. We're still above every, major moving average, Bollinger Band, the 50-day moving average. We're bouncing off of pretty much all of these bad boys, right? We're above every single one of them. So in my opinion, Tesla is looking quite good. Today was, a beautiful day to kind of, give us a good idea that, yeah, we are bouncing off this extremely important, 720-ish level, give or take. Again, like I said, 5 points. We did go as low as 710 actually, which was a little spooky. This could have been a huge bear trap for the bears, thinking that it's over, it's going to collapse from here. Clearly it didn't, but this was close. This was very, very close. Right, this was kind of walking on thin ice over here when we dropped down to the 710, 711, that kind of range. That was definitely a close one. That could have went really poorly pretty quickly as well. So, but thankfully it didn't. We got back up pretty quickly and ended up higher than we closed, and obviously also important, not only higher than yesterday's open, but yesterday's close as well, which is good. So overall, I would say a fairly successful day leading up into earnings. But the good thing I like about it is the fact that it's not overly bullish going into earnings. I don't like it when it's overly bullish, or if it's not overly bullish, more like overly green, if that makes sense, because that to me usually spells trap. In this case, we're kind of going sideways. You know, there is a battle of bears versus bulls and whatnot, but you know, it's not to the point where it's, in my opinion, overextending into earnings, which I personally think is great because it'll actually leave some room to run if earnings are maybe good or good enough. But regardless, like I said, I personally think we are, worst case scenario, going to be potentially going back to the blue line once more after earnings, and then most likely bouncing up across the red line. If, however, earnings are fantastic and we just essentially bounce right across the red line tomorrow, pretty much above 750 to make it easy, that's going to be great. So this is what I personally see if that happens, right? If earnings are good enough or whatever, and Tesla aftermarket kind of pulls what Netflix is doing right now, being up about 6%, let's say, just an example, give or take. I don't think it'll be up 6%. I think at most it'll be like 3%. But nonetheless, even if Tesla does do that, something like that, I think personally, and let's say we rally up to 760, 765, something like that, post-market after earnings gets reported, I think then probably the rest of the week, what we're going to do is most likely fall back down, similar to what we did here, reconfirm the red line, and then probably rally up to this kind of 800-ish level for the remainder of the month or something like that. That's kind of what I'm currently projecting. That's what I'm currently guessing. That's what I'm currently just, you know, seems to be like the move that's going to be happening. And that's what I personally see coming up next. So ultimately, I personally like the way Tesla's looking. I'm still liking it. I did cancel or remove one of my puts today. Very small profit, but I'm still holding my other two puts. I'm still holding my 700 put that I not a bought put, a sold put, which is a bullish position, and my 680. Those are the ones I'm holding still. The 660 is the one I took back, which is fine, which is good. I'm okay with that. I'm just taking some risk off. I don't want to be too risky or greedy in this market. That's how you get burnt, and I don't want to get burnt. I'd rather make less profit than potentially put myself up for potential to lose a lot of profit or even just my own actual money. I don't want to do that. Anyways, looking at the 15-minute chart being a bit of a smaller time frame, you can see Tesla just constantly pretty much in this little channel, right? Making at the moment a higher high here, but now a lower high here, but it's still ultimately making beautiful higher lows, right? You can see even like this, sometimes you can kind of make a line as well like this, right? It's constantly moving up. So it's starting to get tight. You can definitely make a line like this and, assume that this is something else that's happening here as well. But essentially it's going to get tight. And I really do think earnings is going to ultimately, at some point this week, most likely, again, probably after earnings, explode out of this general area. It doesn't have to be exactly after earnings. It could easily be maybe the day or two after earnings, again, being the Thursday or the Friday. But I do think that's going to happen very soon. And I personally think there's a lot more positives than negatives that are leading to more upside, again, ultimately to this top of the channel bear flag. Also because, again, we're up over pretty much every single meaningful short-term indicator that I just showed you guys a couple minutes ago. That's also very important to keep in mind. So the market looks fantastic, by the way, so far rallying pretty aggressively. You can see here the SPY just looking quite wonderful, actually. The QQQ looking pretty damn decent as well. It's still potentially going to be rallying up to the top of this bear flag channel, rallied above this red line that it's, got resisted at twice now, closed above it, which is fantastic. So the market looks quite fantastic. The VIX looks like it most likely wants to drop to the bottom of this channel, which is, I think, something we're going to be seeing, right? I think the VIX will probably drop all the way down to here, potentially maybe 22-ish, 23, something like that. And then maybe from there, it'll get a massive rally and massive bounce. And that's when the market might start finding, a potential huge fall. That's definitely a possibility. And that's kind of what I'm personally expecting at the moment. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing at the very moment, guys. Let me know what you think down below. Tomorrow, again, will be a very important day. I might make tomorrow's video like a half an hour early, mainly because once the market closes, I don't want to be sitting here making a video. I want to be paying attention to, Tesla's earnings, what they come out with, how it's moving after market. I want to be doing that. So I'm probably going to make the video a little bit earlier tomorrow. Again, like half an hour before the market closes probably. So keep that in mind. But nonetheless, guys, again, I'm feeling still pretty decent. I'm liking the way the market's looking. Overall, ultimately, the market's looking bullish short term. Again, I want to make it very obvious, short term. But yeah, I'm liking the way it's looking, guys. Again, yesterday I called it out. I said, I'm feeling bullish. I literally said it in the video title. Clearly, that was the right play. Again, ultimately, I still think Tesla's looking fantastic, even if we have a bit of a drawdown, even if it falls, as long as it doesn't essentially collapse back under this blue line sometime this week, which again is essentially around that 710-ish level now. As low as 700, I guess, because you can technically fall below it, but as long as you get bought back up, kind of like what we did here, that's fine, right? So between 710 to 700, as long as that level holds for the remainder of this week, I'm bullish. If it breaks, I'm bearish. That's essentially the easiest way of putting it. And if we ever break above essentially 750 and hold, I'm a confirmed bullish, if that makes sense. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. Let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.